This presentation will show the TI-84 Plus keystrokes needed to enter a table of values, display the scatter plot, compute the coefficients of the regression line, display the regression line, and finally compute the correlation coefficient. Today's example is taken from College Algebra 6th edition by Stuart Redland Watson. It is example 1 from page 163 based on data found in table 1 on page 162. We will find the regression line, graph the regression line on a scatter plot, use the regression line to make predictions, and find the correlation coefficient. Actually, the correlation coefficient is not part of the original problem. However, it is covered in the same section in this college algebra textbook. Step 1 is to navigate to the list editor by pressing Stat 1. You may or may not already have data stored in the lists. In this slide, I do have previous data, and the first number in L2 is highlighted. If you have data, but a different number is highlighted, use the arrow keys on your graphing calculator to highlight the first element in the second list. It may be a different number. This slide gives the keystrokes needed to erase the previous data. You can skip this if your lists are already empty. Now we enter our data from the example. We will let x equal the number of years since 1950 so that we are working with smaller numbers. Notice that we enter all of the values for the x in list 1, followed by all the values for y in list 2. This minimizes the number of times that you will need to use the arrow key. In order to display the scatter plot, we need to turn on one of the stat plots and confirm that the scatter plot option is chosen, and check that list 1 and list 2 are designated as the current lists. In order to ensure we will be able to see the plotted points, we need to set the window parameters. Here we use xmin equals -5, xmax equals 60, xscale equals 10, ymin equals -5, ymax equals 30, and yscale equals 5. Now we just press Graph in order to display the scatter plot. Our next step is to determine the regression line. Graphing calculators have built-in programs to compute the coefficients of the regression line once the data has been entered. We just use the fourth option in the Stat Calc menu. To display the regression line on top of the scatter plot, we will copy the equation into the y== area. We start by pressing y=, then we find the regression equation that has been stored in the graphing calculator by pressing var 5 to get to the area where statistics variable values are stored. We then move right to the EQ menu and select 1 to copy the regression equation into the y= area. Finally, we press Graph to display the regression line. Now we're ready to use the graphing calculator to predict the infant mortality in 1955 and 2006. We'll let the graphing calculator do the work for us here in order to keep all of the decimals in the coefficients and not end up with rounding error. So in order to do this, we use second trace, which gives us calc, 1 that gives us value, and enter 45 as our x value associated with 1955 to find the output associated with that value of x. For 2006, we enter an x value of 56 and find the related y value. Our last step is to compute the correlation coefficient. Once again, we will let the graphing calculator do the computations to find the regression coefficient. Again, we use the var statistics EQ menu, but this time press 7 for the R, which represents the correlation coefficient. Please let me know if you have feedback or questions.